Hi everyone, I'm glad to see your happy faces again. I've recently come back from a trip where I shot 35 film rolls, you got that right, in the span of 4 days in rural England, so yeah, that was a lot. And some of these rolls were with the Vellokrom Pictorial film. Also, I was testing 6 new expired film stocks, which might be coming along later this year. Now let's get back to our horses. In my last day in England, I visited Harboro Rocks, which is a limestone hill near Brassington, with some former industrial works, stone, concrete things left behind. I mean, it's a cool looking place with some concrete formations, so I had to go there and shoot. And I mostly used the pictorial film with me, so yeah. Here's some wobbly footage of me walking like an NPC around and just taking photos around Harboro Rocks. Enjoy it. Also, there are some good results in there. I mean, the main attraction started around these industrial works. I really love these stone formations that look almost like a fort or like some monoliths that shouldn't have been there. Even though that's not what they were probably used for. I like how this tree trunk just grew there amongst the rocks. It looked like a cool juxtaposition of nature and industrial, so I did shoot one photo there. And as you can see, I did use multiple cameras. I had my 3D plastic camera, a half frame, and my Ricoh TLS, which is my main camera that I've used. The weather is just, I don't know, it's amazing in England. You have these amazing clouds at all times. And I really love the windmills in the distance. It looked very, very great with the sun almost setting behind them. I then climbed to the actual rocks themselves. The wind was quite strong, but it wasn't really an issue. Yes, some photos I haven't developed yet. I still have a backlog of like 5 films from the 35 that I've shot in that trip. And here's another shot that I took there. After that, I've just looped around and came back to the industrial works because I really liked their shape. It was like a non-organic, formation that shouldn't have been there. And I shot it against a dark sky and the sun peeking through the clouds. That's mostly about it. After that I returned to the car, and right across the road from the parking lot there was this great fence and very beautiful clouds, like a pond around there with the windmills in the back. That looked very great, and I did shoot it, and it was like one of my favorite shots, even though it was like unexpected and it just came right at the end of the trip. Now, let's talk a bit more in depth about this particular film stock and its ups and downs. The results are very dramatic with almost no visible grain, which, even though it's a selling point of this film, Sometimes I don't really enjoy this surgical look, like it's almost digital look on film. So yeah, for some of the results that you see now on the screen, I did add some grain to them in Photoshop, just to wrap the whole photo up, to add it some texture. You don't have to, but it's just personal preference. Usually the photos coming out of this film are very surgical in a sense. They have no visible grain, and I don't necessarily like that. It sometimes can look a bit digitally. The negatives do hold a lot of details in the black and shadows, but there's a big but. You do have to work for it, especially in the scanning phase. Because the negatives are underexposed a bit, you do have to raise the black and shadow details to an acceptable level. And as you can see, there is a lot of details that can be recovered and shown. A slight downside to this is that your scanner can maybe show up artifacts. Also, all the small scratches will become visible, and you will have to get rid of them manually in Photoshop. So yeah, it's a bit of work to get the most out of the pictorial film experience. But for those that are captivated by its look, trust me, it's worth the extra half an hour of post-processing to get the best out of your photos. And I do think that the pictorial film, it's best scanned maybe with a DSLR rig, camera scanning. I think the RAW files do allow you to maybe push the details in the blacks and the shadows without getting artifacts like you can get from maybe a cheaper scanner. So, as I was saying, I do have a few more films in testing right now, and I'll sneak in a few results from my recent trip to England, where I got to shoot some of them. As I was saying, I do have a few more film stocks, expired of course, that are in the testings right now. I'm figuring out development times, maybe film sensitivity, and what the films can be used for. Some of them are pretty beat up, very fogged, but if you do expose it well enough, they reward you with a very vintage look. And a small update on the pictorial film. I do have like only 3 films left from the first batch, so the next films ordered after that will be printed on demand, spool them into canisters and get the stickers ready and all that jazz, so that might take a while if you do order now. So keep that in mind. As I said earlier, I'm working on a few new designs for the upcoming films. I'm also testing which subjects work best for these types of film, so it will take a while, but by the end of the year there should be a few more film stocks coming up. There will be like a limited quantity of each of them, maybe like 20 max, so if you want to get one of these films, you do have to get ahead of it, because they're not coming back. They're expired films, they're very rare, and this is your only chance of buying them. That's it for this video. I hope you got some valuable information from that regarding the film, and I'll keep you updated with anything that comes up. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and make sure to keep an eye out for any other updates.